What's up, YouTube? How you doing? Today we're going to be studying in Luke chapter 6, verse 46 through 49. These are some of the little stories or parables that we overlook about Jesus. And every word he says is very important, but I mean, some parables get more attention than others because they're more popular, but that doesn't take away from the fact that these are just as important. So, verse 46, Luke 6, verse 46, Jesus says, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not what I say?" So, in other words, you're not doing what I'm saying, but you call me Lord. "Everyone who comes to me and hears my words acts on them. I will show you who he is like." So he's describing someone who acts on the words that he gives them and takes God's advice and lives his word. So it says, the man who does this is like a man who builds a house who dug deep and laid a foundation on rock. And when a flood occurred, the torrent burst against the house and could not shake it because it had been well built. But one who has heard and has not acted accordingly is like a man who has built a house on ground without any foundation. And the torrent burst against it, and immediately it collapsed. And the ruin of the house was great. So what Jesus is telling us is that we have to build our foundation really strong before we put the word on it. So we really have to go internally and try and change these things about us and change our life before coming to God. And I think a lot of people think they have to be perfect to come to God. And that's what stops them from coming to God. They feel like, hey, I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to be up to these standards. I'm never going to be able to do it. And that's the devil. That doubt and that insecurity. That's the devil trying to stop us from being good, We just got to push through and keep in the word. So, and we have to take his words and we have to build our life, build our house, So not only do we have to have a strong foundation, but we also have to have a good house, and we have to build it with his word, but we have to use the right knowledge, The devil's not dumb. He's smart. He figured it out when Jesus kept getting tempted by him, and Jesus responded with, "It is written, it is written." I believe that the devil has tried to trick us in many different ways, even to the point of manipulating the word or manipulating the meaning of the word in our minds even, or, that's why it's so crazy to me that 10 people can read the same verse and have 10 different things, It's like they can't figure it out. It's crazy to me. But this is a short one today. I'm glad you enjoyed the word. I'm going to try and keep putting these up here as much as possible. I'd like to do them every day, but, life happens, so thank you for tuning in, YouTube, and I wish I got more views on these than my other ones. I like the views. Thank you for watching. But I wish you guys would read the word, Jesus is very important. We don't take it serious. He gives us plenty of chances. Have you ever noticed that there's even Bibles in motel rooms? There's Bibles in jails. There's Bibles everywhere. He's giving us chances, y'all. Come to Jesus. He wants you. I'm telling you, he'll accept you no matter what. Alright, love you guys.